Hello there, Jets fans. Welcome to the JetStream post-game for game number 2. It's officially April 19th, and the Jets have now fallen behind in their series with the Anaheim Ducks 2-0. Losing tonight.
Rough one.
2-1.
But I think we're all slightly more awake for this post-game show.
Yeah, definitely more awake. Definitely less drunk.
Definitely less drunk overall. And, a little bit more awake. I'm not going to be falling asleep in the corner of the couch like I was last time.
We have not banished Neil from the show. He's doing his producing from the sidelines today. Yeah.
I banished myself. It's an embarrassing performance.
So we'll hopefully be a little bit better than we were on the last time we did this. Just like the Jets were a little bit better tonight.
And you know what? It's just like, nice transition by the way.
Yeah,
but it's just like our very first ever podcast. From when we first started to where we are now, I think our second post game is gonna be way better than our first.
Yeah, our second recording at like post 12:45 at night is gonna be much better than our first time.
5 minutes from 1 a.m. at the moment.
So
I think we're doing a lot better.
You can't say our heart and dedication isn't there.
No, exactly.
Like we're grinding this out. We're basically doing what the Jets were doing in this game as well. The Jets lost tonight 2-1, and I think it's justified to now say that the storyline of this series has kind of taken a bit of a turn towards officiating and penalties, is it not?
I think that was kind of inevitable with Jets fans and the way they are.
Yeah.
Not that every fan base isn't somewhat like that, because everybody likes to feel like they're being victimized.
Even the story of the playoffs right now has been reffing, right? Like the PK Subban incident and all this stuff going on. Is it fair for Jets fans to be angry at the lack of calls at the end of the game, or is it just kind of, it is what it is, it's playoff hockey, get used to it sort of stuff?
Here's the thing. I think, if I remember correctly, I was extremely tired. I can't remember if it was the Steve Dangle podcast that brought it up. It wasn't us. Let me correct myself there. It was the Steve Dangle podcast, just the most recent one. Mm-hmm. I was just listening to it this morning, actually, and they were saying,
good people.
Steve Dangle was saying that, and I completely agree with this, that the Ducks, with their playoff experience, know more what they can get away with in the playoffs than the Jets do. And I think today was an example of that. You need to know what you can get away with, because it is different. And I think we talked about that going into the playoffs. It's different what you can get away with. It's absolutely different. And whether experience plays into that or not, or if it's just smarts or individuals, who knows. But clearly the Ducks know better, whether it's their playoff experience or whether it's just individual knowledge. They know what they can get away with more. And, I mean, both teams got away with lots of calls.
Oh, yeah, that's my argument is if you, and I tweeted this out as well, if you go back and watch a good portion of that game in front of the net, Mark Stewart is getting away with bloody murder.
Oh, yeah.
And he's gotten away with it for a lot of his career and a lot of this season specifically. But there was one instance where he straight up just, I think it was Cogliano in front of the net. He
that was
cross-checked him and tackled him.
That was on the 5-on-3.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that. It was on the 5-on-3 at the beginning of the game. And yeah, Stewart leveled Cogliano in front of the net. Blatant interference, whatever you want to call it, high sticking, whatever.
He did it late in the game too.
And it was obvious, but they were already down 5-on-3. You know that you're not going to get that call. So that's a fairly experienced move by Mark Stewart, I think.
Yeah.
He knew that in that situation, you're probably not going to get another penalty called against you.
That's a good point.
But, I mean, at the same time, you have to take that in consideration when you're going to be going against the refs for the Jets. You have to say, well, everybody got away with a little bit of something.
Yep. And yes, it stings when you see too many men on the ice not being called, but you know what? Go talk to the Nashville Predators about that yesterday, who got absolutely burnt by the Chicago Blackhawks, who had 6 guys celebrating a goal, and somehow they came through and still managed to win. So you can't blame it all there. No. I think generally as a whole, the Jets are still facing the same problems as they were in the first game. They're trying way too hard to be physical right now, and for at least the entire first period, a good portion of the start of the second, basically until they scored their first goal, they're overemphasizing this we need to be physical thing. They're dumping and chasing. They're trying to run in together. They're ignoring the puck and just trying to make contact with players. And yeah, maybe that does work over time when you're wearing people down and people are getting hit and things keep going and going and going. But when that's all you're doing and you're literally there was an incident early in the game where I can't remember who it was, but he straight up ignored the puck, went to go hit somebody, and it resulted in Corey Perry having a wide open shot in the slot. Yeah. That's very counterintuitive, and it's not how you win. That's not how the Jets have won games all year. They win games with puck possession and smart plays. And yes, they are a physical team, but it was more of a nice aside as opposed to who they were.
That was a nice little accent to the fact that they were able to control the possession of the game.
Exactly.
So that they could throw in that physical side with it.
Exactly, and I think Andre Pavlik bounced back nicely this game. Yeah, you could make the argument that last goal was a little iffy. Interestingly enough, I'm pretty sure it was Silverberg who scored in that overtime here from that incredibly sharp angle as well. I'm pretty sure it was him who scored that too. So it's interesting that you just
that was a
have
tough one when you're
there.
coming out of the corner like that. The goalie's going to have a tendency to move with the player coming out of the corner and push off, and he went short side. It's a tough one. I mean, ideally, you would like to see the goalie make that save, but that's not a perfect situation.
Yeah, and it's another situation where you can always sit there, and Jets fans will sit there and complain, oh, well, he was holding little stick behind the net. But again, like, you can't...
There were so many stick infractions in that game for both sides that I
were
can't...
left uncalled.
Yeah,
exactly.
I
it's
can't...
hard to make the argument.
Yeah.
Adam Party obviously scored first goal in like over 1,500 days.
Oh my goodness. Just ridiculous. You know what's actually, just sidebar, as he went and did his classic little party dangle there before the goal, how he had it at the point, went around the guy, as he made that move, I was like, oh, classic party dangle, always ends in nothing, were my exact words. Those were
Not this time.
Verbatim, always ends in nothing, wraparound goal. I was like, okay.
Public enemy number one right now, Ryan Kessler helping that out. Would you... I think he had differing reviews on Twitter throughout the game. A lot of people were either frustrated with some of the moves he made. And yeah, he lost his edge a couple of times. He looked like a guy who hadn't played in the playoffs yet.
Yeah.
He did make some positive things as well, obviously scoring the goal, and I think he made some good decisions. I think he was a big force in front of the net. Would you stick with him going forward, or do you go back to Ben Sherratt, or are you a little
Both
concerned?
of them are unproven playoff-wise, right? I mean, you've got a one-game sample size from both of them. So, I mean, he did better than Sherratt did last game, but, I mean, nobody really did that great last game. So, I mean, I honestly, at this point, would say it's a toss-up. I'd like to say I'd rather see Sherratt just because he's shown me a little bit more in the regular season. I feel like you could rely on him a bit more than Party, because Party's made questionable mistakes before. And but yeah, I would say I'd be more comfortable with Sherratt, but either one right now is pretty close call.
Yeah, right now I think the Jets need a bit of a shake-up regardless. Yeah. Another storyline that was kind of coming into this game that I think Jets got the positive side of, or saw the positive side of, was the potential return of Matthew Perreault. He was a game-time decision and came back, almost left again today after taking... when that happened, I was instantly thinking, especially when he was holding his arm, broken collarbone from the start. Yeah. Looked brutal, and the guy has like -6 luck when it comes to getting absolutely destroyed. The guy's head is like a just battering ram. He's getting absolutely beaten up. Before and after that, though, I thought his effect was greatly shown, at least in the third line. They by far played light years better than they did. You can make the argument quite easily that they were the Jets' second line today. Yeah. You had pointed something out to me before we started recording about deployment-wise. Mind explaining that? Because that definitely, I think, was a trickle effect of him being back in the
Jets' deployment completely changed, and that could have a lot to do with the fact that Perreault came back into the lineup, and we said that would change the lineup. That would shift where people were, Toulouse especially. But Garrett Hull tweeted this out after the game, just comparisons of, it's got the possession numbers, and it also has the zone starts for each line and each pairing. And I thought it was really interesting that basically all the usage from game one was flip-flopped. So if whatever line or pairing had the offensive zone push, was now flipped for game two. So it was a completely different approach. For example, the Lad Little for Leak line in the first game was about 50%, just below 50% offensive zone starts. That completely flip-flopped to 75% offensive zone starts in the second game. So you're completely changing your deployment for your number one line.
How were their possession numbers?
They were...
So a lot of people were justifiably on Lad for his penalties.
They were actually about the same. That Little for a Leak line were about the same possession-wise, despite...
So they were positive, right?
Well, just slightly. And net, I would say positive. But a couple of them negative, a couple of them positive. But despite a over 30% increase in offensive zone starts, their numbers possession-wise were about the same. So you could make an argument for that, saying they had a much worse game. The second line, that Stafford, Shifley, Wheeler line, they were about 50% offensive zone starts in the first game, and pretty bad negative numbers possession-wise. And then in the second game, 25% offensive zone numbers, and they got destroyed, as you would expect with such defensive zone starts. Yep. Like, we're talking -10s, -12s possession-wise.
See, a lot of people have been talking about how the top line needs to step up. Where's the top line? Where's the top line?
It's got to extend to the top 6.
Yeah.
At
I
least,
completely
at
agree.
least.
Like the Jets are a different team when the Scheifele, Stafford, Wheeler have been playing, and they've done.
We saw that in the final stretch heading to the playoffs.
Exactly. So I know 50-50 is a bit more of an offensive zone push, but if there was a line that really needed it right now, I would be pushing that second line so hard offensively.
And they got the opposite treatment in the game, too. They got their offensive zone starts cut in half.
Coming back home, I think that might help because I think in the playoffs especially, that's when it starts really taking its effect. When you're at home, you get that second line change. You pick who your guys are going out against. I think that gives the Jets a bit of an edge. Yeah. But like you said, the Jets' third line, they were what? They got more... I know you just put your
the Jets. I literally just had it open, and then as soon as you want me to pull that up, the first game, the Jets' third line. So it was at that point it was Toulouse, Lowry, Stempniak.
Yeah.
They were 50-50 for the first game, and the second game just slightly above, almost a 60.
And they were by far the most dominant line.
Yeah, this game they were positive for sure. Last game again outplayed. Almost every line on the Jets in the first game were negative possession-wise.
So I think that supports what we were saying earlier. It's a bit of a positive improvement from the first game for them. I think they're still feeling it out. I still don't think panic needs to set in. Again, the old cliche line, you aren't in trouble until you lose a game at home.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Jets need to win both at home now, and the pressure's huge.
Yeah.
I don't think that's really an optimal situation coming into what is going to be an insane place in the MTS Center.
Oh, it's going to be stupid.
Hopefully they can pull something out of it. Honestly, I'm a bit more concerned. I'm not freaking out about it yet. The Jets, again, the Jets haven't been the Jets in these first two games.
No, absolutely not.
Hopefully, I don't remember them having too many long losing streaks throughout the season. There's games they didn't play well, but I don't think they had 5-on-5, like really not looking like themselves for a while. I know the possession numbers in the end weren't as bad this game, but again, they're not playing their style of hockey.
Normally,
and I don't know if that's by design.
Normally, they're a fairly strong team on the road as well. I know people like to romanticize the whole home,
we're the greatest
fortress, MTS Center fans, and you know what? It's been said by many people, and I'm sure it's true, and I know it's true that Jets fans at MTS Center are loud, proud, all that stuff.
It's going to be absolutely insane.
It's going to be insane. Yeah, that's absolutely right. The fans at MTS Center are crazy, and I'm not arguing that. But the Jets, in their 4 or 5 years here, seasons, don't have an amazing home record for what you would think.
Yeah.
They're a very decently strong road team, actually, is where they've gotten a lot of their points from. So it's a little bit of a letdown in my eyes that they don't get something from these first 2 games away.
Yeah. Any keys going into the game on Monday night?
They got to start playing their game, as cliche as that is. But like we've been talking about these first 2 games, they've been trying to overwork those guys physically. I think you just got to play that possession game. Stop dumping. It's not how you got here. So I don't think you have to change that.
I completely agree. Obviously, I think being smarter with your penalties is one thing.
Yeah, of course. But you know what? I can't see that changing.
It hasn't changed all year.
Yeah, it hasn't changed all year. I don't think that's something that they'll be changing anytime soon.
Yeah.
So if you want to, maybe keep that the way it is and yet somehow get some success, then you got to do it 5-on-5, which means carrying the puck in and generating scoring chances.
Exactly. Doing your best with the penalties. Obviously, play your game. Don't stop trying to be something you're not.
Yeah.
I think is the main thing you got to go with. Like you said, the dump and chase is not something. It honestly, it looks like the Claude Noel team right now. It looks like they're rattled. I don't know. Again, I don't know if this is something Paul Maurice is telling them to do. I'd be shocked that he would want them to completely change their style of play. But they're playing the Ducks game right now. They're doing exactly what the Ducks want them to do. And you saw it as things went on. The Ducks let them come at them and let them try to make hits, and then they're exposing them by using stretch passes and getting in behind them and creating traffic.
There was a couple times where they had a step on the Jets D and they were in behind, and it could have been more than just 2-1 easily.
Oh, for sure. Pavlik has played great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think
he's been the highlight.
Yeah, he was a huge concern for the Jets. I'm still not going to blame him for the first game at all.
No.
I'm definitely not blaming him for this game. Again, like I said, second goal iffy, but whatever. It was a tough situation. He stood on his head. He was a good.
So far, the MVP for the Jets has been Pavlik in these first 2 games.
And again, people might not like hearing that, but
it's just the way it is.
No one else has really stepped up to this point.
Absolutely not.
Maybe make an argument for Pro just on the fact that one line changed so drastically.
There's been nobody over 2 games that's played better than Pavlik.
Yeah, definitely not. So yeah, that'll be most of our thoughts as we wrap things up here today. Before we do leave, we do record. I believe we're going to try to record again tomorrow for the regular podcast time. I got a lot of stuff to do, so it'll probably be a bit later on, posted sometime on Monday. But before we do that, for those of you who have been on Twitter recently and were following things today, the Edmonton Oilers getting
First overall
pick. Any quick thoughts on that? We'll obviously talk about it a bit more tomorrow, but...
You want my thoughts on that?
Just a quick thought on that.
Quick thoughts. You know what? They had a chance, and it happened. A lot of people are
great
upset
analysis
about
there, Joe.
Okay, here's the thing. It's just percentages, okay?
Yeah.
Say what you want about the people. The draft lottery needs to be fixed. Whatever. If a team has a chance, there's a chance that they will get the pick.
Yeah.
That's just how numbers work.
Yeah.
So sorry that it happened 4 times in 6 years. That's great for Edmonton, sucks for everybody else, but that's freaking math. So sorry.
Oh yeah, I know. Fuck, it pisses me off so much.
Like when you flip a coin, you're not gonna get heads, tails, heads, tails, heads.
Oh, yeah,
you can get heads 50 times in a row. So it happens, but it's ridiculous, and the chances of this happening are extremely low, but there's still a chance of it happening, and it happened. So everybody else needs to friggin' suck it up. I'm sorry, I don't, suck it up.
Yeah,
if
I
you're
know.
gonna complain about
I'm
it,
not on that side of things where it's just like, oh, this is so stupid,
Yeah.
this is unfair, blah, blah, blah.
No,
It is what it is.
It's literally dumb luck.
But, it pisses me off. It annoys me so much.
This doesn't
Anybody but
excuse
the Oilers.
the Edmonton Oilers in any way of the fact that they haven't built anything around their amazingly talented first overall picks that they've gotten, because those are the only positive things about their team right now.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, I'm kind of excited to see what they do from here because I think that makes one of them expendable. Like Everly or Yakupov makes them expendable, and I think if they play it, we're not getting into this now. We'll talk about this tomorrow. There's a lot to take into that. Obviously, I'm just pissed off because the Leafs didn't get it. But yeah,
of course.
Thank you all for listening to this. This is after Game 2. Like I said, we'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully things pick up for the absolutely insane atmosphere that will be the MTS Center on Monday night.
Prepare yourselves.
Jets need a couple wins in a row here if they want to avoid a sweep at this point. So
one home playoff win would be nice.
Yeah, playoff win for the franchise. Franchise still hasn't won a playoff game in its existence. So.
And especially if it was at home, that'd be great. Even if you lose the series 4-1. If that one win is at home, I'm happy with that.
Yep. You know what? Adam Party has now scored a goal.
Yep.
And it's time for the Jets.
So did Lowry in the first game. Lowry got us.
So let's get a win for this franchise. Everybody enjoy the game. If you're going to the game on Monday, I'm extremely jealous. Enjoy yourselves. And yeah, go Jets, go.